Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome to a Friday edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with G. Bush and Jason Lloyd.
Hang on.
Yes.
It took me over a year to get my name added
On the intro.
to the intro. Dustin's been here 45 minutes, and he's in there already.
That's true.
That's some bull.
He's
got to wait his turn.
Yeah. I think he should have been left hanging there for a little longer.
Yeah, it took me and Tyvis like over a year.
He's going to have like an emoji picture soon.
He took my parking spot. I came here the one day.
That's messed up.
He already was in my spot. I was
That's
like,
obnoxious.
That's like his second day here. He's moving in.
Y'all kind of got the same car, and I was like, oh, Jason's here. And then I came in and was like, no, this is Dustin.
But Dustin's like you. He's got the personalized license plate.
Yeah.
I've moved away from the personal.
Oh, you don't have that anymore?
It is. It's on the car that got a new engine.
Oh.
So.
I got you.
Yeah. So the new car don't got
It
nothing.
doesn't have it. Jason, you don't have personalized license plate, do you?
No, my wife does. I do not.
Really? What does she have on there? Oh, we shouldn't say it, I guess.
Of course not.
probably
I mean,
not
Yeah,
I mean,
we don't need people harassing your wife.
I mean, he has multiple stories
has
ready
me.
to drop.
Yeah, exactly.
That's me to harass her.
Right.
We got a lot to get to today. There's a ton of controversy surrounding Deshaun Watson. There's controversy surrounding the Guardians pitching staff. There's controversy around me not wearing a collared shirt when we're going to be on TV today. Yeah, this is a little sloppy. I think it's a bad job out of me. I should have worn my collared shirt, and I kind of flaked out this morning. So Mike's going to get a call from somebody, some mucky muck up at WKYC. Bull's got to be wearing a collared shirt.
So Bull's trying to throw G under the bus. G walks in. He goes, he's not wearing a collared shirt.
Well, I wasn't trying to throw him under the bus.
Like,
I
Bull
was
is wearing
just
a
trying to be
jacket.
You
funny.
look very different than G right now.
I know.
Listen,
Let's change outfits.
what is it? All squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. That is you two right now.
Squares.
Hey, look,
How is a square a rectangle?
They go. Hey, they'll
That's
pull.
four sides.
They'll pull me into the office. Listen, we're disturbed about your gear. You're not dressed enough. I'm like, what you want me to do? But listen, I'm coming in a Batman suit. If this ain't dressed up enough, I'm just coming.
Yeah,
in
right, that's true.
Cape and a cow.
So don't blame Mike, WKYC, for me looking a little sloppy. I like this shirt. It's very comfortable. I think to me it looks nice, but you see it on
Well,
TV.
you
and
look
it doesn't
good. Like, let's
sloppy.
call a spade a spade. You look great today. You're just not TV appropriate.
I'm not TV appropriate because
Pocket t-shirts are not TV appropriate.
Jason's shirt, which is basically a t-shirt, also has a collar.
I got a collar.
Three
And
three
that makes a
buttons.
difference.
I got a
apparently.
collar and buttons.
But collar and buttons. That's
That
the
makes a
way
difference.
it is the way to skirt around things.
By the way, I honestly am not getting into politics here, but
I don't believe you.
No, seriously. But if you watch the debate, I'm not talking about the debate at all, but the two moderators, they sounded so robotic, didn't they?
That's the way you got to go.
Hi, I'm whatever. I can't even remember what the guy's name was.
You did get us in trouble, though, yesterday, because I was singing your cat video. I got bombarded. Oh my gosh! Listen,
Eat the cat. Eat the
they
cat.
went crazy.
Eat the
People
cat.
was on my timeline.
Come on, that's funny.
No, but
Oh,
listen.
stop
I
it,
mean,
cat.
I don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
but it was like
Yeah.
I'm like, bro.
I can't stop singing the song. I'm singing it nonstop. Eat the cat.
you walked in singing it today.
Yeah, it's
I've been singing. I
crazy.
can't stop singing it. It's like embedded in my brain now. All right, let's get into a lot of other things.
Before we
here,
do a read, though,
football-wise.
and we're just we're gonna get this off the top.
Yeah.
Jason, you wrote an article yesterday.
I was going to
in The
have you do
Athletic.
the read, and then I was going to do
We
that.
we
Go
don't have
ahead.
enough reads today, so let's just let Jason.
All right, go ahead, Jason.
Give us a little insight into his article and break it down for us.
I just wrote something that posted yesterday at The Athletic saying, like, it's not working, guys. We have enough evidence. This has been a disaster. If they can use this latest allegation to get out of the contract, get out of the contract. Cut bait and go. It's time. We've seen enough. And the play on the field has not warranted the headaches Deshaun Watson has caused off the field. And it was funny because this morning I stopped and get a coffee on my way in. A lot of times I got accosted by a guy this morning where I get coffee, an old retired guy. And I use that term playfully because I actually love the interaction. And he said, you are a hypocrite because you wanted him here and you defended him, and now you want to run him out. And that's fair. Like, I think I'm not going to run from that. Yeah.
I don't think that makes you a hypocrite.
Well,
that's hypocrite's the wrong word.
Well,
you were wrong.
I get what
I
he was
was
saying.
wrong.
I get what he was saying.
Yeah.
Because I wrote, at the time, he needs to settle these cases. If he wants to play football again, he needs to settle the cases. I wrote that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide that. Like, that's what I wrote.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to come back and say he's got all these cases against him.
Yeah.
Why isn't he countersuing? He's settling. He's not countersuing. And the point I was making with that is Trevor Bauer was accused. Whether you believe him or not, he was accused. He believes he was wrongfully accused. He sued his accuser for defamation. Johnny Depp sued his ex-wife for defamation when he felt like he was being wrongly accused. Dak Prescott sued his accuser when he felt like he was being wrongly accused. Deshaun hadn't done any of that. Deshaun has written checks instead. He hasn't done any of that. And that's just a side note, but it was just it was interesting observation, interaction I had with him. And I enjoyed the back and forth because he's right. I did defend them in going to get him because what they had wasn't good enough. And I know Baker played great on Sunday. If you look at the totality, he's just not good enough as an NFL quarterback. He wasn't when he's here. They needed to make an upgrade at the position. They had a roster that was ready to win, except at the most important position. At the time of the trade, Deshaun appeared to be an upgrade over what they had. It has not turned out that way. Whether it's the injury, whether it's mental, emotional from the last couple of years, whatever it is, it's not working. So it's time for the organization to try and find, we've talked about this before, if it doesn't work this year, you got to come up with an exit strategy. This case, first of all, is significantly different than the other cases. Whether or not you believe it or not, the credibility of the case, that'll be determined by the NFL and by the investigation and by civil court. But what he's being accused of this time is a lot different than what all those other cases are. And that matters. And I've had people say, well, the first 26 cases didn't matter to you, but 27, that's the magic number. Well, if you look at the allegations, this one's a lot different. Now, if it's true or not, that's to be proven later. I think it's ridiculous and irresponsible for the Browns to play him this Sunday without doing any sort of investigation on their own as to the legitimacy of the claims. How can they say that they've looked into this when Kevin comes out hours after the allegations drop and he says he's playing? What? So
wait, who said they looked into it?
No, I'm saying they haven't.
Yeah.
Like, so when they traded for him, I've talked to people at the Browns who said we did our due diligence, we looked into it. I know that they talked to Rusty Hard's associates, and they had time. It was March. Like, they had time. They had an entire offseason to get their arms around this and see if they're comfortable with it or not. In this instance, the allegations drop whatever day. Monday, was it Monday that they came out? Tuesday?
It was Monday, correct, Monday.
And now Kevin comes out Wednesday and says he's playing. What have you possibly done in 48 other hours to verify any sort of veracity to this? I just think if the NFL is going to interview this woman in 2 weeks, I think you should sit until the NFL talks to her. Wait until you get some sort of evidence, because these are far different allegations than what he was being accused of before. And I'm not justifying or excusing what he was accused of before. But let's just be honest and let's be real about this. The NFL, the people who can play in the NFL is less than 1%. They have a very special, unique set of skills that allow them to do something no one else can do. And in your job, your place of employment, if you are easily replaceable, they're not going to put up with a lot of nonsense. If you bring something very unique, they'll put up with a lot of crap as long as you perform. And the Browns are willing to take on a lot of crap and put up with a lot of crap, provided Deshaun was going to perform. He has not performed. He has not lived up to his end of the bargain, whether it's injury, performance, whatever. He has not justified everything that he has brought onto the organization in terms of baggage, whatever else. We've seen enough. It's time. It's time. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen today. It doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow. They have such a mess on their hands with the money that they've pushed ahead on the cap that they have to navigate and figure out. But we've seen enough here. And I'm done. I'm done. I'm over it. It's time to start your exit strategy and move on.
G?
I will say, people think it is, he's done and it's not worth the risk or not worth the headache. That's your personal opinion on that. But where I give pushback is, I can't start suspending everybody based on allegations. That's just not the way it works. Like, you come to work. Obviously Kevin Stefanski is a football coach. If he has not been put on a commissioner's list, if he has not been convicted, if there's no criminal case, if we're just going on based on a set of allegations. Deshaun said he just heard about it on Monday, right? So the team says we just heard about him now. So I can't put somebody and suspend them until the league looks at it because a lawyer says this allegedly happened. That's just not the way life works. You look at it. You look at the difference between this case and Mike Hall.
Oh, Mike Hall.
Mike Hall, right? So they put him on it's a protocol, right? It's the commissioner's exempt list, right? There was a criminal case filed. He had to go to court. He was arraigned. That's the process. When you talking about it from a standpoint of whether or not you're going to put somebody back or hold them back or not let them play based on optics, you can't do that. The NFL is an organization, and obviously they look at the optics. But as I've always said, this is what the lawyer is going to do. This is what this is the cause or the actions of what lawyers do. They try to get things put in the public space. They put it in the media, and then when the media covers it, if it gets enough firestorm, if it gets enough legs and traction, then guess what? Now you got a better chance for people to say, all right, well, listen, let's settle this because we don't want more stuff in the news. So, yeah, when you come out with allegations, I can't suspend people based on because he said, she said, or whatever the case may be. And if you look at his lawyer and his attorney, he came out and said, I can't, maybe I've been too politically correct. Maybe I haven't pushed back enough on some of these claims because at the end of the day, everybody and their mom wanted them to get the cases over with, right? We all said, hey, let's get these things out of the way. Let's concentrate on football. Let's go ahead and pay them, right? So then he pays them. Life moves on. Then another case comes up. Now we are essentially using those same cases that we wanted him to file away as a reason to why we should keep him off the field now. So we can't have it both ways. At the end of the day, either you're going to say that you should pay him and you should fight for your reputation, or you're going to have to just come out and say, well, look, I'm going to make a stance on this one, and I'm going to say take it to trial because obviously paying them off didn't work because now there's more people. So it's a catch-22. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? So now this is going to hang over his head for the season, correct?
Probably.
Because now he's not going to pay this individual, or he said he's holding fast to his innocence. So, it's a nasty situation. And I think if Deshaun Watson was playing better football, to be honest, and not naive about the situation, if he was playing better football, I don't think the backlash would be so severe. But since he is playing bad football, obviously, we can all see that he's playing bad football. This is something that's piled on top of that. And most common fans, after a certain extent, they just throw their hands up and they say, listen, I just don't want to hear more about it. I just want to watch football. Like, it may be time to cut bait.
The only thing I would say is I don't think he should be suspended right now. I think he should sit right now until they get more information. You still pay him. He's still getting his money. I just think he needs to sit until they get to the bottom of what's going on because there's no way they've had enough time to investigate whether or not and if there is no credibility to this, then he should play and he should sue her for defamation.
Well, I guess my question would be, how could the Browns get down to the bottom of it if it's he said, she said?
Well, the NFL is going to investigate this woman and see what her evidence is. See what this videotape is that Tony Busby claims they have. The only thing I'm saying is for right now, like, you got a triage in the moment. You've got a crisis right now. You've got this thing that came out right now. How do you handle this right this minute? I think you should sit until you get more information. Just until you get more information. And then if you investigate this and you find out you don't think that there's viable claim to it, okay, then you proceed accordingly. But right now they don't have any information one way or the other.
Do you think that's fair to the person being accused of something?
I think he's getting all of his money, and I think he's put himself in this position.
Well,
You have made yourself an easy target, and now you have to deal with the consequences of that. The
listen,
Browns knew when they acquired him, this was always a possibility that this was going to get messy.
I can't keep piling on just because you made a mistake and you may have put yourself in a situation. I can't compound that mistake in that situation. And I think it's nearsighted a little bit that people think that money equates to everything. Just because a person is rich and they got a lot of money does not mean that they don't deserve due process, that they don't deserve the same benefit of the doubt that everybody here gets. Hey, listen, I might have more money than somebody else out there, but if I'm being accused of something and then I can't work and then I can't do anything and then I got to sit at home and take it, like, I don't think how much money you make should have anything to do with it. And also, I think at the end of the day, the veracity of her claims, I don't think that you can take those claims and because they sound crazy and because the details are salacious, that we then take that word, make it gospel because we're trying to do damage control. At the end of the day, the NFL, you talk about putting yourself in that situation. They put themselves in that situation with Ray Rice and countless other people as well. That's the reason that they're so over the top when you have anything that goes wrong with violence, domestic violence, assault, any of that. So not to say that they don't have any blood on their hands, so to speak, but at the end of the day, I just don't think that you can not even suspend. I don't think you can tell a person based on what somebody says, we're going to sit you down for 2 weeks, and nor should the Players Association.
If in my role, if a woman came forward and accused me of doing the things that were done, that this woman is claiming Deshaun did, I promise you I would be put on administrative leave. Without question, 1,000,000%. There's no discussion about that. You are put on administrative leave until we have the opportunity to investigate the claims.
So shouldn't the league do that, not the team?
Somebody should.
Yeah. I actually don't have a problem with the Browns letting him play. I mostly agree with you besides that. I also talked about this on my podcast. I didn't see Mike telling us to hype up my podcast from yesterday, but I'm just busting your balls. It's obviously a very complicated, intricate situation. I am also feeling the way you are, Jason, that this put it over the top for me. There's a variety of reasons why that's the case, even though I know that we don't know that this is true or not.
Right. I'm not saying she's telling the truth. I'm not saying that. I don't know. I'm saying they need to find out.
Yeah, and the problem has become, ultimately, the reason you were accused of being a hypocrite, and that same person would have to accuse me as well, is that the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
That's right.
When, for years, I was always, don't sign bad guys, don't sign bad guys. And eventually, I got to a point a couple of years ago, I was like, this is stupid. There's always going to be a couple of bad guys on every team. If the league is not stopping the guy from playing, why should my team not sign the guy if he can help my team win? And it was always about, oh my God, nobody's going to go to games, it's bad PR. And ultimately, it came to the point where the bad PR really didn't matter. And still, to some degree, it doesn't matter in this situation. If G's right, if Deshaun Watson starts playing well, the conversation is mostly going to go away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. But to this point in his Browns career, we were excited about the Browns. Not everybody. You and I were excited. G was excited. Most of us were excited about the Deshaun Watson trade because we thought they were getting a superstar. And we knew, or at least we all thought, that Baker Mayfield was not a superstar. And so it seemed like a no-brainer. Yes, there were some people that didn't want him, either because they loved Baker Mayfield or because of what happened off the field. And ultimately, many of us, certainly myself included, felt that even if the stuff that happened off the field was true, the league has made their punishment, he has the right to play. I can separate the person from the player. Okay, let's go, let's play. But to this point, he has been so bad that it's not the aggravation of having to, selfishly for our perspective, of having to talk about this all the time. The aggravation from the fans of having to deal with this all the time, have it negatively affect their football team that they root for.
Can I say something though?
Go, of course.
Like we act like these people are toy soldiers or little army men on a board, bro. Like we have to talk about it, or fans have to deal with it. Like this is people's lives,
of course,
man.
I understand.
But no, we don't understand, because we're not sitting here having people say we raped them. Understand that, and that's
right.
And so when we say, "Oh, let's just cut bait and move on and do this," and like it's not fantasy football. It's not toy soldiers on a board. At the end of the day, the same way that I'm talking about Deshaun Watson, Jason just said it. I'm like, no. Why? If he said he didn't do it, why are you suspending him now?
It's not suspending him.
Suspension to me means, why are you not letting him work and be gainfully employed because of an allegation somebody else said?
But he is working and gainfully employed. He's still getting his checks. We're just saying administrative leave is you sit here, keep getting paid until we get to the bottom of this.
So, this is crazy, because I see people all the time that got body cam, go shoot somebody, and they're like, oh, we're going to investigate, but they don't get put on administrative leave. They didn't kill somebody.
Well, sometimes they do.
Usually they do.
But nobody. I'm with you there. Of course.
Like that's. But what I'm saying to you is, like, we act like, and I'm coming from a human perspective. I have I have an issue with certain things. Trevor Bauer's career is over. Just because he drove the drone and you don't like him and he threw the ball over the fence, that aside, when text messages come out saying that these people intentionally tried to say that he raped them and he then had to countersuit, right? The fact that Trevor Bauer is in Japan somewhere, and every time Mexico, every time you bring up his name to writers and people, they scoff, they laugh, they jeer. They're never going to do that. That man's life is over. And the fact that those text messages, if he would have never been if he would have never denied it, if he would have never been doing that investigation, if he would have never had them text messages, he would be out of here today. And he still is, and it doesn't matter. My point is this. I'm not about to sit here and, based on what you said, I'm not going to go all over 100% based on your allegations. And then what is the recourse? Because if it's not true, the burden is still on the rich person with the money who is never going to play again. So we should have learned something with Duke lacrosse. We should have. But we haven't learned any of that. Have we? We should have learned something with the Buffalo Bills kicker. Have we? No. In the media, your job is to do this. You get both sides of the argument, right? And in those cases, we stepped over and we put the thumb on the scale and said, oh, we better virtue signal or we might get canceled. Because if you say you got to think about it, then you're the guy that's condoning rape. You're the guy that's condoning this stuff.
Okay, so the Buffalo Bills guy now has a job.
Okay, so he lost 2 years.
Trevor Bauer's life is not ruined. He made millions and millions of dollars.
But again, how do we keep coming back to money?
Yeah.
We sound like we are so enthralled with money that the money that they get is so crazy that we feel that anything that happens to them unjustly is rightfully so, and it doesn't matter because they got money.
I think there's more to the Trevor Bauer story. There's more to it because professional sports have proven time and time again. Yeah. If you can help us, we don't care about that stuff. You pay your penance, and we're going to bring you on. And the fact that no one has touched him, there's a lot more to it than, because I agree with you from that instance, he should be back in the league and pitching again. I think there's a lot more to it than what is out there.
All I'm saying is
we don't know that.
And here's the difference. Here's the difference in Deshaun and the Duke lacrosse and everything else. You have now 27 accusers versus 1 or 2, and you have a retired district judge who sat there and listened to the cases put before her and said the NFL cleared its burden. Yes, Deshaun Watson violated the committed sexual misconduct and violated the NFL's policy. So for everyone who says he was never indicted, that's true, but you can't hold on to not indicted and dismiss the fact that a federal district judge said something really wrong went on here.
Okay, so here's my thing. I've always had a problem with against that was You can't tout a federal judge. You can't tout the judge, say that she's the most qualified, say that she's done the due diligence, she knows the court system, she's heard all the facts. She hands down a judgment and you say, we'll decide what the punishment.
Well, I agree with that.
Right, but she still handed down a punishment.
But here's the thing. What I'm saying, though, is you cannot have it both ways. Either you're going to trust the judge's judgment, you put her in a position, you said that you were going to trust what she was going to say, she gave the recommendation,
right.
You stepped in,
well, that's the league. We didn't do it.
But I'm just saying, I'm not saying
but
you.
she found him guilty, essentially.
Actually, listen, she found him of violating the league's policy.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So she thought there was sexual misconduct.
So why would you, my point is, if you're going to have a woman judge in this country and you're going to put her on that case because she's a woman, we got a problem with then overstepping women, but because then we'll come in and we'll say,
you're squabbling over the time of the suspension. In her ruling, she said, I am suspending him what I believe to be the maximum that I can under the guidelines that I've been given.
Yeah.
That's why the suspension was what it was. And then you're right. Then the league took it back and said, no, that's not good enough. We need to hit him harder.
And they shouldn't have done that.
I don't disagree with that part at all.
But the bottom line is she still, based on the evidence she saw, thought he was guilty.
Well, here's the thing. What they did is use her optically as a woman judging a case in assault.
But she was the one who was appointed regardless of the... She's the one who's put in that position regardless of if it's sexual assault.
Her ruling was dishonest?
No. Her ruling was what her ruling was.
Yeah.
The dishonest part is saying that you feel like she was the most qualified to handle it, and then you overstep the boundary.
But we've agreed that we think the league was wrong about that. So it still doesn't change the fact, the more important fact, that she found him guilty.
So here's the thing. We could go back and talk about that during that time frame, but at the end of the day, those cases happened, it got litigated, and he got the games that he got.
Yep.
Right.
If I'm him and I'm the lawyer, I'm not going back to court after every single time that, hey, next week, maybe it's the 5th grade girlfriend, right? Maybe next week it's the girl from 6th grade. Maybe
if it's all true, then I got no sympathy.
But hold on, that's the point. You see why you're stepping. In one sense, we're all saying, hey, listen, we don't know if it's true or not. But the
way you're presenting it is if it's all bullshit. You are, G. That's how you're presenting it.
Did I say that? That's
how you're presenting it.
What I said was, I'm not going to suspend him and sit him down because you're leaning on the side of that woman is true and he's false. No, that's the way you're presenting it.
I agreed with you that I wouldn't sit him down.
That's all I'm saying.
But
that's all I started with.
But in the same vein, if I'm the Browns and I could get out of his contract now, I would.
Well, we could argue that conversation.
I mean, that's a football thing.
That's a football. We could argue that, but I'm not gonna. The only problem I had with Jason's statement was, if I'm the Cleveland Browns or I'm Deshaun Watson, no, I'm not going to sit you down for 2 games to figure out if it's true or not. That's the reason we have a process in this thing. It's the reason we have a protocol.
Yeah.
Why do we collectively bargain these things if we're just going to take one-offs based on allegations? That's the only problem I had. If you are a person who said, I'm tired of it, I want the Browns to find a way to get up out of there, I ain't got no problem with that. The dude ain't played well. That's a football conversation, that's a strategy conversation, and a financial conversation. My conversation is based on human beings. And no, I'm not going to do something based on optics when I wouldn't do it for anybody. I said the same thing about, to be honest with you, I said the same thing about Brett Kavanaugh. Said the same thing about Donald Trump. I said the same thing about people that I don't even really agree with.
Yeah, everybody should have their due process.
So
Donald Trump is now a convicted felon. He was convicted in the court of law.
And guess what? He's still not sitting down. He is running for president.
Right. Well, he shouldn't be.
So if people got a problem with 80 million people being upset,
I'm not a hypocrite.
Hold on. Obviously, he didn't have to sit down none.
That's true.
So I want all 80 million people to, if you got a problem with Deshaun Watson playing while they find out, you shouldn't have a problem with somebody who has already been convicted, but is trying out not to throw footballs, but the highest court in the world.
That is completely fair. I agree with you.
We've totally derailed Mike's show.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, that was That was well worth it. I should have done a read. The only mistake was, Bull, you were right. Should have done a read before then.
I told you.
We're going to fly through these next couple things to make sure we get most of the stuff we want to get in, and that starts with a read from FanDuel. You guys have heard us talk about FanDuel before. It is America's #1 sportsbook and the #1 sportsbook of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And right now, FanDuel has a little something different for you guys. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime you want. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook. The Browns and the Jaguars started the seasons off with losses. Browns lost to Dallas. The Jaguars lost to the Dolphins, who lost at Buffalo last night. My question to you guys is, on Wednesday, Dustin called this a must-win game for the Browns. Would you go as far to agree with Dustin and say this is a must-win for the Cleveland Browns to avoid an 0-2 start to the season?
I think must is a little too strong, but it's pretty important. I mean, if they lose this game, now I didn't pick them to make the playoffs this year. I picked them to finish 9-8 and out of the playoffs by a game. I had the Browns being 1-1 after 2 games. So if they don't win this game, then they're even worse off than I thought they'd be, which was short of the playoffs. So it's an extremely important game. It's their first division game. And if they win it, they have a good chance to really flip the script, because the following week they're playing the Giants at home, a game they have a very good chance to win. So, I'm not going must, but I think their chances of making the playoffs are pretty slim if they lose this game.
Man, I mean, I think it's almost one of the biggest musts if you Deshaun Watson. Like, you break this down in two different parts, right? I said this yesterday when Tyvis was on the show. I said, man, look, they trying to get you up out of here, bro. And here's the thing: if Deshaun Watson don't get it done here, we just had a conversation for the last 20 minutes. Why we been here? You think they ain't having that same conversation? They not gonna have that conversation around the league. Like I told somebody, tap Colin Kaepernick on the shoulder, tell him them jobs ain't coming back, bro.
Yeah.
They've already made their mind up around the league multiple times. The contract, the allegations, the play. You mix all those three, that's a terrible recipe for talking about you want to be a starting quarterback. And on the field, I can't justify that. Like, because I watched the film. Like, I'm married to what it say on the film. And the film says you look gunshot. It looks like you are seeing ghosts. It looks like you have lost a step. It looks like you don't have confidence. It looks like you don't have accuracy. All those things are on the film, and you can just point that out. That's any football person can say that, right? But it's one game in the season. And the good thing about it is, I believe that the Cleveland Browns are going to give this the longest leash ever. And the reason I say that, for this year, when Joe Woods was coach and when Baker Mayfield got hurt, Baker was hurt all year, and Baker said he wanted to play, right? What did Kevin Stefanski do? Give him an opportunity to play. Joe Woods was horrible the whole year. We kicked, we screamed, we jumped up and down. I said, this is crazy. They done punted on the season. Guess what? You know what they gave Joe Woods? The rest of the year. When you give it the time and you give it the energy and effort and you give it if he's healthy, you give it 17 games, then they can fully go into it and be like, that ain't it, and make an informed decision and go in a different direction. However, that sucks for us, because that means we're going to have to sit here and watch bad football or mediocre football or football that don't really get it done. That it is the calls for Jameis Winston, the calls for everything else will be happening. So that's a doom and gloom. That ain't what we trying to look forward to. But I'm going to tell you this. In terms of must win, if Deshaun Watson don't come out there and at least, and when I mean a win for him, is looking night and day, it's a bad situation, bro. It ain't gonna look good the rest of the year, bro.
I mean, the first step is for him to just look like a starting NFL quarterback. Not even a good starting NFL, just an adequate starting NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Jason, go ahead.
I can't say it's a must win until it's elimination. That's when it's must win. When your season's on the line. At 0-1, it feels like your season's on the line, given everything that you guys said. I agree with all of it. But you've got 3 very winnable games after this. So even if you start 0-2, if you take care of business, you come home and you beat the Giants like you should, beat the Raiders like you should, beat the Commanders like you should, you're still 3-2 and it's okay. But 4-1 is a hell of a lot better than 3-2 when you're talking playoffs and everything else. So I can't call it a must-win game. I think it's a very important game. We talked about it on Monday. Bull, I think you said it. Gary, I don't know if you said it or not, but Deshaun very well may be playing for his career over the course of the next month.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
These next 4 games,
yeah.
He's playing for his career.
Like, what did you make of the comments when he said it might not, it might take a couple more weeks. It's like it's a work in progress.
Outrageous.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Outrageous.
Yeah.
We ripped him yesterday.
What have you been doing since July? What have you been doing? Why is it going to take a couple more? Like,
There's no excuse.
It was an outrageous thing to say.
Even if you felt like that,
You can't say it.
You can't say
No,
it. You
no.
just can't.
You're admitting defeat
Yeah,
when you say something like that.
You're making excuses.
It
if
was
you don't play well.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was hung up on some of the other stuff. I actually missed that when you first said it until I was on the phone with Mike yesterday, and Mike mentioned you guys talked about it on the show, and I went back and listened to it. I was sitting in the room, and I missed him saying that.
Yeah.
Outrageous.
Yeah.
But I can't call this a must-win, but it's really important, obviously, for Deshaun and for the course of his career this next month. I go back and forth because I agree with you. I know what you're saying, like Joe Woods. I think they felt like that was a lost season anyway. I said that all year. They punted on that year. As soon as the suspension went to 11 games, they punted the season. And everybody yelled at me and said it wasn't true, but it was. They punted the season. The Baker thing was not even a Kevin decision. That was an ownership decision to keep running him out there because they were trying to make a decision on the contract. With this, it's a really tough spot to be in because you've got all this money invested in them and you want to give it every opportunity to work, but you owe it to the other 52 guys in there to give yourself the best chance to win on Sunday. And what we saw last week is not giving this team the best chance to win on Sunday. What do you think Myles Garrett and Joel Bitonio and Nick Chubb, when he comes back, what are these guys going to say?
Yeah, if he plays this bad, you can't play him the whole season.
So it really puts them in a bind of trying to do right by the veterans and the 52 guys in that locker room and guys who have contracts coming up and doing everything you can to try and get some sort of return on this massive investment you've made, not only in money, in reputation and patience and everything else.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's not, and this is for another day if they, God forbid, they just play horrible the rest of the season. But it's not like if you go away from them, you can come back. Like if you go, like it ain't like college.
If you go, it's
if
over.
you go, it's done.
Yeah,
So
that's it. Career over.
It's so, and you're looking at it, and a lot of people are saying, and I'm looking around the internet, people starting to dig up old Jameis Winston stuff. They're like, well, look, you got a former #1 overall pick on your roster. Look, man, I mean, in preseason,
he wasn't that bad.
He wasn't that bad. Right? Look, Jameis, listen, at that point, we'll take the 40 picks and 40 interceptions and 40 touchdowns. Like, that's why I say, man, it ain't a must win. But, man, would you just love to just see some semblance of some life in there?
It'll make this show a lot more fun next week.
That's right.
If Deshaun plays well and we have some good football to break down as opposed to rehashing all the negatives that we had to go through this week because what we saw from the Dallas performance.
Let's go to Fence
We got
Riders.
2 reads. We're going to play a little No Fence Riders. First read. Prize Picks, a new sponsor to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show rotation, and Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. They have over 5 million active users. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. And when your picks hit, you get your money in as quickly as 15 minutes. Plus, Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double down on your money. Even if one of them doesn't hit, you can bet on the Browns and Jags game this week. You can bet on any game you want. That's what makes Prize Picks so much fun. Just download the Prize Picks apps today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That is code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game today. Today's show also is being brought to you by LinkedIn Talent Solutions. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. It helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites, so if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, Mike. Let's get to fence riders here.
No fence riders. We got 5. We're going to skip one because it was not that close, but the other 5, all very close.
Yeah.
Let's start with this one. Trevor Lawrence. Will either quarterback throw for 200 or 30 yards on Sunday? I picked that number arbitrarily. Neither quarterback reached that mark in week 1. The answer? Dead even split. 4 for yes, 4 for no. Earl G, Jason, and Tyvis all said yes, a quarterback will throw for 230 plus. Dustin, Bull, myself, and Jay all said no.
Yeah. Listen, first of all, quarterback numbers so far in the first 17 games of the year have been down.
Yeah.
They were already trending down last year. They've been down so far. I have no faith in Deshaun Watson right now to throw over 230 yards. And even though the defense didn't play great last week, I'm expecting the Browns defense to bounce back and play really well this week. So I don't think Trevor Lawrence will throw for 230 yards. So I don't think either quarterback's going to throw for 200 yards. What do you think about that?
Wow.
Trevor Lawrence going to throw for 230.
That's going to be a long day if he throws.
That's not that high.
It's not.
It's
Trevor
really not that. Trevor Lawrence can throw. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I believe there were 20 quarterbacks that had less than 200 yards in week 1.
That was week 1.
Yeah.
There's going to be a jump from week 1 to week 2 for most teams.
Could be.
I don't know about this team, but for most teams, there's a jump from week 1 to week 2.
They got Travis Etienne, Kirk, Thomas was getting loose last game. Like, he looks like a stud. Evan Ingram. They got some ball players on offense. Like they got some stuff. Like, and let's not get it twisted. They were without that fumble. I went back and watched the All 22 from the Jaguars and the Dolphins. Jaguars was dominating that game. Without that fumble in the end zone, that game is a completely different game.
You think Deshaun's going to throw for 230 or no?
No. I said they will. It would be Trevor Lawrence though.
I'm with you. I think it's Trevor. He could throw for 250 and the Browns can win the game. You could throw for 250 and kick field goals. Mm-hmm. So I don't think the passing yardage really has anything to do with final score. That may sound counterintuitive, but it all comes down to red zone. Are you kicking field goals or are you scoring touchdowns?
Or how many turnovers you got?
How many turnovers?
If he fumbles.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks, guys, last night we all saw what happened to Tua in that game.
Scary.
You think his career's over? I mean, that was the second time he's been in it, or third time.
It's third confirmed concussion,
Yeah, but
second where it looked traumatic like that.
Yeah, it was so horrible.
I'm going to say no. I think it should be. I don't think it will be.
If I were him, I'd retire, I think. Easy for me to say. I'm not in that situation.
Right.
But
I think Tyvis said one of the man, he said a lot. He had a lot of gems. Shout out to Tyvis. He said a lot of players that he played with, and a lot of players, when they talk about football, they talk about what football can do for their family. They don't necessarily talk about, I love the game of football. They're like, no, this is the only time I can get this amount of money. And for a person that's in the middle of their earning capacity, it's hard to tell them you're going to retire because it's just like, hey, we work a lot of hours.
So what's your life worth? I mean,
well, he did just get paid. He got $150 guaranteed million.
Well, but if he retires, it's.
Well, I saw I'll dig it up later, but there's injury clauses in there, so he's still going to get a good chunk of money.
Yeah,
regardless.
he people don't think like that. These guys,
I know they're young.
Like Bernie says, these guys, they're young. They making money. They got to take care of responsibilities, and it's a shame.
Andrew Luck retired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Andrew Luck, you know why I'll give Andrew Luck a little more credit. First of all, he's a Stanford grad. He knows he's a smart guy. His dad is been an executive, so he's been around the game and understands the ups and downs. And so he's a little more educated, and he's a different type of guy.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
Like,
That's fair.
And the thing with Tua is what I said about Denzel. We're only talking about the NFL concussions.
Right,
Was he as a kid? High school?
Right.
Like,
College?
when we count them.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, like it's always scary to see that. I don't
that
like
was
when people be
disturbing, like-
season up like that. That's just to me like
So weird that it was DeMar Hamlin.
I know.
Although it wasn't that much of a hit even.
It was.
Tua hit DeMar.
Yeah, it
more
was-
than
That's
DeMar
it.
hit
That's
Tua.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tua lowered his head and went into
Yeah.
DeMar. DeMar was just standing there.
Yeah. All right, Mike.
2 stats real quick on the passing yards for the first one. Trevor Lawrence did not eclipse that number. He would have if it wasn't for a pass interference call on Jalen Ramsey, on Brian Thomas. G, I know you watched the All-22.
Oh, man.
Thomas burned Ramsey. Would have been a 50-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
Ramsey grabbed him from the back. Also, Mina Kimes tweeted this out this morning. In Week 1, defenses played 2 high safeties 60% of the time in Week 1, turning quarterbacks into check-down artists, essentially. 5 years ago, that was just 32.4%, almost double in the last 5 years, how much 2 high coverage teams are playing. All right, question number 2. Which team will get more sacks from their secondary pass rushers on Sunday? So everyone on the Browns not named Myles Garrett. Everyone on the Jaguars not named Joshua Hines-Allen. Another dead even split, guys. 4 for the Browns. Dustin, Bull, Tyvis, and Jay said the Browns' secondary pass rushers will have more sacks.
Almost the same
4
group.
for the Jaguars.
We traded McNuggets for Tyvis in this one.
Yeah.
this was easy to me. You know why? I mean, right now we got a quarterback that is running out of clean pockets.
Yep.
He's not seeing the blitz correct. He's not getting the ball out on time. So if he continues to hold the ball and want to extend plays, you got Trayvon Walker, you got Eric Armstead, you got like those guys, and especially getting pushed in the middle. That's an easy one for me.
Everything he said, I totally agree. I spent 2 seconds on that one.
You guys are prisoners of the moment. And the NFL is every week is such a different week.
But Jacksonville has a better defensive line than Cleveland does.
Yeah, who would you take, Za'Darius or Trayvon Walker?
Yeah. He had 2 sacks last week, by the way.
It doesn't matter. It's just
Taking Eric Armstead or
it doesn't,
Dalvin
you
Tomlinson?
can name all the
Give me
names
Eric
you want. It
Armstead.
doesn't always play that way.
Of course
It's the
not. But you're going to take the
unpredictability
better
nature.
player.
But
Yeah, but the Browns' offensive line is better than the Jags' offensive line.
But if you got a quarterback standing back there holding the ball,
have we ever seen him get the ball out on time?
No.
We just talked.
This is more. It's not even about the Jaguars. I think the Browns' defense got humiliated last week, and I think they're going to come out and play a great game this week. And so, yeah, the Jaguars' other guys will get some sacks. I think the Browns' other guys will too. I just think they'll outslug them in the sack department.
okay. Hope
I
you're
like
right. I hope you're right.
Next one. What will be longer? The longest play from scrimmage or the longest field goal made in this game? Shocker, guys. Our third dead even split. Earl, Dustin, Jay, and Bull said the longest play will be a play from scrimmage. Jason, Tyvis, myself, G, all went on field goal.
Me and Jason is
You and I
aligned
are
on everything.
lockstep.
Like, we must have filled
That's
this
how
out
you know
together.
G's down bad.
Yeah, right. Isn't that weird?
I've infected you.
And I think I've been with Dustin and Jay on everything.
You better social distance from me and put a mask on.
Hey, listen,
mask
hey,
up.
a
you
little
know it's
disturbing.
bad. You know it's bad. I came in looking like the Grim Reaper today. I even brought my rosary to play for people. That's how bad it done got. Can you do something so I can put the Kool-Aid Mafia stuff back
Man.
on? My sales are terrible right now, Deshaun. Hey, guys, come on. Let's get it together.
I think Jerome Ford is going to have a big run in this game.
Wow.
All right.
He does.
He's
He
due
did it
for
a
2
few
a year.
times last
He's due
year.
for 2 a year. Or
I
guess it
think
was
the
4
Browns.
last year.
I think the Browns are going to look to run a lot in this game after what happened last week. They're going to look to establish the run. I think Jerome Ford breaks one for 62 yards.
All
Heard
right.
it here first.
Well, it sounds like you're picking the Browns to win the game.
Maybe.
Defense is playing well.
Well, Deshaun's going to. I have no faith in Deshaun.
Dustin Hopkins is about to kick like a 52-yard. You think somebody gonna get 40-plus
I
yards?
just said 62 yards from Jerome Ford.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I don't see huge chunk plays in this. So
I agree with Jason. I don't see huge chunk plays. We have 2 more. Little teaser. Jason and G did not agree.
By the
At
way,
least one of the
who
2.
won last week, Fence Riders? Do you have the standings?
It's on the whiteboard upstairs,
well, let us
so
know.
I'll have to get back to that. Yeah. Number 5. Last week, Deshaun Watson averaged 3.8 yards per pass attempt
That's horrible.
and 7.8 yards per rush.
How's that?
So I was curious this week, will he average more yards per pass attempt or per rush.
How is that?
This
you
was
sure?
not even.
You sure it was on? How is that even possible?
That's
45
terrible.
pass attempts
For
and
much of the game,
160
he was
yards.
like around 2 yards per attempt.
168
But-
pass yards.
But you know what's weird?
45 attempts.
When I looked late in the game,
Yeah.
his average depth of target was farther than Dak. It
Yeah.
didn't make
Was
any
he
sense.
completing
Yeah.
it?
They weren't completing them.
Yeah.
But it
He
was
was
still
the first-
farther.
Yeah, the first quarterback to
yeah,
go.
go ahead.
So this was not even.
Okay.
Dustin and Jay both said per rush. The rest of us are hoping this flips back to reality.
Yeah.
Where a quarterback
Yeah.
should be with per
I'm
attempt.
surprised Dustin was there. Jay is the most underrated prisoner of the moment I've ever met.
More than G? He
No, G's more prisoner. Nah, Jay is.
I actually think Jay's more prisoner
Jay
than
might
Mike.
be more prisoner of the moment than G, and he doesn't get talked about a lot. He is 100% prisoner of the moment.
I'm like Jupiter of the solar system. All of the rocks and bodies and all kind of asteroids get sucked up by the gravity, right? But they don't be knowing like Saturn is kind of big too. Like Jay be like, he'll
Jupiter and Saturn fighting